ABC. Good morning, Stephen Roberts.
Hey, McGraw.
Let's talk about tariffs. And right here in Missouri and in southern Illinois, farmers are watching very carefully what their president is talking about with tariffs because it hits them right in the pocket. Why? What are you hearing from farmers and the farm community about these tariffs?
Well, you're absolutely right about this. You know, most of it in St. Louis, people understand this, but in lots of America on the coast, people have no understanding of how dependent American agriculture is on exports. American farmers exported $135 billion worth of farm products last year, and the impact rippling through farm country can be potentially severe if the trade war with China, which has been threatened, escalates. China's been very shrewd in targeting American farm products, knowing that the places that grow these products are places that have supported Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You get just one example. Senator Ben Sasse, Republican from Missouri, said over the weekend Trump is threatening to light American agriculture on fire. That threatening a trade war is the dumbest possible way, in Sasse's words, to deal with Chinese trade practices.
What's interesting about this is that on the political spectrum, the very far left is very much in for tariffs, and the very, very far right are for tariffs, right? That might be the only thing they agree on.
You're right about that, and trade is always one of those issues that scrambles a lot of assumptions and trend lines. Ideology is one of them, as you point out. You get perhaps one of the most liberal members of the U.S. Senate, Sherrod Brown, a Democrat from Ohio, is all for the tariffs because he comes from a state that has lost a lot of steel and aluminum jobs, and he thinks that these tariffs are going to bring back some of those jobs. But trade often is based on geography more than ideology. And so it's not just farm country in places like Missouri. But if you look at the coasts, as folks in Missouri understand, the export industry is so important to farmers that means it's not just the farmers who suffer if there's a trade war. It's the shippers, the packers, the dock workers, to say nothing of mainstream merchants, whether they sell seed or sell lunch. So the potential ripple effect here is enormous. And look, the core Trump supporters are going to stay with him. The reddest states and congressional districts probably not in question. But if you get some marginal districts in states like Missouri, House districts, resentment against Trump's agricultural policies could be very significant.
What do you make? I mean, he's threatening, but he's almost putting, people on double secret probation. And by golly, we're going to put these tariffs on someday real soon, right? I mean, so he's threatening, but he hasn't done it yet.
Well, and over the weekend, that's a fair point. And over the weekend, his Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and others went on TV to say, in effect, yeah, there's a risk of a trade war, but we hope to avoid it. And we hope to avoid it by forcing China to the negotiating table. And it is true that China has some vulnerabilities here, too. They depend very heavily on these imports. They got to feed over 1 billion people every day. And if they can't get soybeans from America, it's going to be hard to get them from other places. But it's possible, the risk here is that Donald Trump is still very, very inexperienced when it comes to foreign negotiations. His whole worldview, his whole experience is to negotiate with fellow real estate developers in New York City. It's entirely possible he's really miscalculating the resolve of the Chinese leadership. He's not dealing with real estate developers in New York anymore, as tough as they might be. And so this is the concern. This is why the stock market went down almost 600 points last Friday, because the markets are worried that Trump is miscalculated here. In the best scenario, China does come to the table. The tariffs are not put in place, and deals are renegotiated. But there are a lot of risks here, and people are very nervous.
Steve Roberts, have a good week. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, pal.
ABC News political analyst with us every Monday. Alex Castellanos joins us on Tuesdays.